painful past turned to purpose. A Memphis family turned upside down, living a nightmare that's all too real.
Yeah, a nightmare they never saw coming until it was too late. Tonight, they're speaking with us, hoping other families can learn from their heartbreak.
How do you guys enjoy your tour today?
Another day of selling the city.
That's the first time in Memphis.
Their first time, but Melvin Bledsoe has been touring these streets for more than 30 years.
Antique Car Museum is going to be opening in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
In 1988, he bought some buses and started his own touring company. Blue City Tours. That's all yours.
Yeah,
what is it about the blues you love?
I love the blues. Blues is like, if you don't like the blues, you got a hole in your soul. That's all I'm saying.
Melvin Bledsoe, living the American dream. Wife, 2 kids, Monica and Carlos. Ate together, vacation together. Work during the week, church on Sundays. Then, June 1st, 2009, it all came crashing down.
It happened outside the Army-Navy Career Center on Rodney Parham just after 10 this morning.
7 shots fired at the Army Recruiting Center in Little Rock. 1 dead, 1 wounded.
It was like really, my heart had dropped to the bottom of my shoe.
Melvin got a call from the FBI and was told his son Carlos was the shooter.
It was the darkest day of my life.
Carlos Bledsoe, a young Memphian, was being called a terrorist, now known as Abdul Hakim Muhammad.
My heart was hurting. My mind was crying. I had to try to understand what just happened to me.
What happened? Carlos Bledsoe had been radicalized. He wanted to bring jihad to America. His target? Men in uniform. Private Andy Long was killed. Another soldier wounded. After Carlos fired the shots, he was captured a few miles from the attack.
I had to be strong for my family to try to understand how our life just got turned upside down.
To understand what went wrong. Carlos graduated in 2003 from Craigmont High School in Memphis. Eventually enrolled in Tennessee State. It was there he decided to pursue a different faith.
He was welcomed at the mosque with open arms. He met a lot of people who later became his brothers.
His family says he was radicalized by a small group of Islamic extremists.
I feel like they knew, what will push his buttons, what will alarm him.
Monica Holly is Carlos's sister.
So I took it that they were trying to get him more on their side and against Americans.
And that is when Carlos changed his name and moved to Yemen. How did this radicalization begin?
He started off supposed to be teaching English, and of course, I think he might have had a couple of days doing that, but that was just only up front.
That's where Melvin says the brainwashing and military training began. When Carlos finally returned to the States for the holidays, it was clear he wasn't the same.
When he tried to explain his religion, he wanted us to, become Muslims.
When they refused, they say Carlos became angry. An anger that led to the shooting, his trial, conviction, and now a lifetime behind bars.
We had no idea he had been fully brainwashed, fully radicalized. He was programmed, he was trained to kill.
Melvin Bledsoe and his family were in uncharted water. It felt like they were drowning, nowhere to turn, no one to lean on, no support for the answer to the all-important question of why. Knowing other families would someday be confronted with their same painful reality, they started a lifeline called Parents for Peace, which is headquartered a long way from Memphis, right here in the city of Boston. Knowing the pain Carlos had created, the Bledsoes reached out to an expert, hoping to share their mistakes and their suffering, possibly sparing future generations the agony of extremism.
So I dedicated my life into this issue of self-destructive behavior.
Miriam Churchill understands the ticking time bomb of radicalization. She's a clinician who studied violent behavior and is now executive director of the Bledsoes Parents for Peace.
They are really using their pain to spread the word in the communities to say, look, this has happened to us. We are a good family. We run a small business. We were all happy, and this is what happened to us. And it can happen to anyone.
I know he's your son.
Yes.
You love him.
Yes.
How do you square that with what he did?
I'm troubled by that. I think what he did was a crime. And of course, we know that when you commit a crime, you have to pay for it. But I also want the world to understand that before he committed that crime in Little Rock, it was a crime committed against him.
I guess you've had many moments where you've wanted to cry too.
Oh yeah, a lot.
I'm gonna have this pain in my heart until I die. But the good part about it, I feel better when I can help someone else.
Mr. Bledsoe, his wife, and his daughter are extraordinarily apologetic and sympathetic toward the victims, understanding that it was their Carlos who took a life, which is why they've created this organization, Parents for Peace, hoping others will recognize the warning signs and then learn from their painful past.
Interesting to hear his background. It's like so many others right here in the Mid-South.
Right here, living with us.
Well, where's Carlos now?
He's now in Arkansas serving his life sentence at the Supermax facility in Lincoln, Arkansas.
Okay.
And he's very contrite. He understands what he did was wrong, and they think they're seeing the old Carlos come back.
Eye-opening story. Thank you, Greg.
You bet.